Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have one just absolutely horrifying upload to share with you. Before we get into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? All right, guys, so as a lot of you know, I've said it a couple different times, when I get emails, I immediately read them. If they're an encounter, I'll print them out. If it's a subscriber that wants me to look at something, I'll try to look at it quick. If it's someone that wants to set up an interview, I'll star it, comment, or communicate back, hey, I need a little bit of time. Give me a week or two so I can fit something in with you. But as of late with my dad, I'm like, hey, I don't know when I'll be able to get in touch with you. I've got family issues going on, as you may know. Please give me a bit. Thank you for your understanding. I got an email today. I got a few, check out this TikTok, check out this, check out that. And the one that I opened and I almost thought like it was going to be check out another video. Because it was like the heading was government involved, deeper than we know. So I open it and I need to talk to you about my experience I had in 2016. The government is involved and they are trying to keep this under wraps. So he's using one of those Proton or whatever emails. So I said, let's set up an interview. Because now I want to hear what this fellow's got to say. No interview, email back, no interview. We'll talk, send me your number. I don't do that. I don't like doing that. And I have never done it. I always get someone's number first. That's just how I am. For some reason I do. Pretty much because, I'm 100% real. This isn't a joke. So I do. And I get a phone call. Unlisted. No number, no name. And I answer the phone immediately. And I said, hello, this is Jeff. How are you? And he says, I'm doing well. Thank you for getting in touch with me. I appreciate this. First and foremost, I'm not going to tell you my real name. I'm not going to tell you my friends' real names. I've had to change my name. I've had to move a few thousand miles away from where I grew up and where I've lived my entire life. I don't associate with my family anymore. Please respect my anonymity. And I said, brother, listen, I don't know how long you've been with the channel for, but that's key. Everything else is behind anonymity, because I want you guys to feel comfortable when you're either interviewed or when you send me an encounter. If I don't have permission to use your name, I will either abbreviate, like just JB or whatever, He said, awesome, thank you. He said, I'm 23 now. He said, and this happened in 2016. And I said, okay. I said, well, what's going on? The other day when you were talking about the Minnesota incident, I immediately knew where you were talking about when you said Razo. And he said that's pretty much just east of where I grew up and lived in North Dakota. And I was like, oh, that's sick, I'm trying to feel this guy out. And I said, well, what's going on? What's, because he's kind of beating around the bush, I guess. He said, all right, my friends and I were camping. It was October of 2016. We were all underage. There was no alcohol. He said where we were was a island in a lake in North Dakota called Devil's Lake. There's a few other lakes around it, Alice Lake and another lake. He said the island it's not small, but it's not big. There's, a boaters association. There's a few homes or a few, rec center and stuff like that. There's a road to get there as well. And they canoed. They canoed to where they were going to camp. 2 canoes, no alcohol. They're underage. They were pretty sure that it was against park policy to be camping, especially at that time of year, he said. And they just wanted to get away, away from their family, school, girlfriends, work, and everything like that. So they canoed out, and it's not very far. It's, like I said, the island is not isolated, but it's an island in the middle of a lake. It's weird. And the lake is not all that big either. I mean, it's big, but it's not huge. So they get to where they are. Mind you, they're all about 17. And very clean cut. None of them, they didn't smoke cigarettes. They didn't drink alcohol. They didn't smoke weed. They did nothing. They just wanted to camp. They all were Boy Scouts together. They all grew up together, and that's what they enjoyed doing. So they canoe out. They set up their camp. They try to isolate themselves as deep and as far away from anything, but still have access to the lake, because they're going to rely on that lake's water as they're camping. They're going to be there for a couple of days. They set their camp up. We're very meticulous. We had one fire pit for our fire with stone around it, and another smaller fire pit just for cooking. We brought a grate with us. We cooked on that, left that as embers so they could cook whatever they needed to on that. And I was like, wow, you guys I said, were you Eagle Scouts? One of them was. The rest, he was a Life Scout. I was a Life Scout. And before I left Boy Scouts and became an explorer. And the first night was peaceful and quiet. They set their camp up. They had dinner. They, laughed, joked, watched the sunset, the moon come up, and, really just enjoyed themselves. Talked a lot about school, what their future is going to be with college and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, that's really, it sounds awesome, He said night 2 is where my life changed forever. And when he said that, I really could tell like something very bad happened to him and his friends that evening. And true enough, it did. So the island, like I said, has, there are some residents on there. There's a couple of different little things that are there. It's not an uninhabited island. It's definitely weird. I've never seen anything like it. There are islands in Lake George where I live, but none with a road going to it and none with like, it's cool though. It's cool. So these are kids, 16, 17 years old, kids. There are roads on the island. Like, if there's residents, there's going to be roads. There's a road leading to it. But where they are is they are at kind of the southernmost point on the lake, but in the woods away from homes. About 3 or 4 miles, or maybe less, there's a boat association. That's key. The first night goes by great. Day 2, they wake up, they have breakfast, they clean up, and they do, what kids do when they're camping. They have fun, they, whittle, whatever. They swim. So right around 6:30, it starts to get dark. Like dark. It's pretty chilly. They've got a fire going. It wasn't chilly enough to where they needed jackets. They did go swimming that day. The water was cold, but they wanted to get clean. They're camping. They didn't. Which the way these kids were meticulous about their campsite. It was crazy. It was just, I was like, dang, like I've got OCD, but this is, I'm going to start doing that, like have a fire pit and a smaller fire pit for cooking on. They had their tents set up with like a tarp to where they, not above their tents, but off to the side where they could sit and relax, eat, keep the dew off them, and have a tarp on the bottom. So that's where that's what they're doing. They cooked dinner, and they are talking, watching the sunset. The oldest of the bunch is going to college in like 9 months, 10 months. So they're all just talking about their future plans. You know, one wants to be a police officer, and he had always wanted to go into the military. He honestly, I don't care. He actually said, I didn't care what branch I went into as long as I was in the military and I could better myself and protect the country. That's his exact words. They're watching the moon come up. It's reflecting on the lake. And all of a sudden they hear this god-awful noise. He said, I can't really describe it adequately. He said, but I hear people talking about the scream and a howl. He said, the only way I can really explain it would be if a wolf was howling and you had kicked a hound dog. That's the only way. He said it was the strangest sound I'd ever heard in my life. My friends stopped doing everything we were doing, and we all looked at each other. And it was off in a distance. Sorry, my throat's really dry today, guys. So, as they're looking like, what was that? It doesn't do it again. So they're like, all right, they finish cleaning up after dinner. One of the kids goes and gets a 5-gallon bucket of water so they can have water for the fire pit, wash their hands, you know. He comes running back with no bucket and said, we need to leave now. And all his friends are like, well, what do you mean? What did you see? What is the cops coming? Because at this time of year, they don't think they're supposed to be camped there. He's like, no, I saw what made that sound and I don't know what it is. He said, but I don't know if Bigfoot exists, but this thing was as big as a Bigfoot. And they're kind of, you know, trying to calm him down because they're not really sure. Like, when all of a sudden, he's got the kid who comes running up is looking at his friends. And all of a sudden, out of the darkness of behind him, comes this creature and grabs him and takes him and runs. Picks the kid up and just runs. The kid's screaming, help. The friend that got picked up, probably 170, 6'1", big, decent sized kid, bigger than all the rest, the oldest one. And they all are like, what the hell was that? And they honestly didn't know. And they started running after their friend. He said, Jeff, I don't know why we did it. I think it was instinctual. Something had just grabbed a person that I've known since first grade. We grew up together. Those four grew up together. They were like brothers, just not biological. As they're running through the woods, they can hear the friend yelling and then silence. And they continue to run and they get to this patch of woods, kind of a field that opens up and then a patch of woods beyond. And they see the creature going into the other wood line. But it's now dragging their friend, either by his hands, his feet, or some other part, because they can see him dragging the kid. They run into the field halfway, and they're looking, and they're like, what the hell? We gotta, figure something out. We don't have a flashlight. We don't know where we are. We just started running. They come up with the plan. 2 of us stand right here, or not in the middle of the field, but back to where they came out into the field. One of us goes and gets a flashlight. One of us grabs our phones. We got to call 911. What are we going to say? What are we going to tell the 911 operator that happened to our friend? They don't know yet. So one of them goes back and gets the flashlight, comes back. He had called 911 and said, we are here. We are camping. Something came out of the woods and took our friend. Stay put. Police are on their way. So they're looking at this field with their flashlight, and they see a line, a trail of where their friend was dragged. They can't hear him anymore. They couldn't hear him when they saw the creature dragging him into the woods. There's blood and a shoe, which they knew belonged to the friend. The shoe has blood on it. And they're like, should we stay here? Where is the police going to meet us? They're going to go to the boat association. So where they are, here's where they are now. Here's where they were camping. The boat association is over here. The lake runs right here. The police, state police, show up and question the kids. What happened? Where'd this go? Take us where you saw this. As they're walking, they can now hear a couple of weird noises in the woods. So they bring the cops to where the field is, and the police are looking. They see the trail. They see the indentated trail from where the kid was dragged. There's blood, the shoe. They start questioning these kids. What happened? What did you see? What did you see? Was it, a wolf? Now, mind you, it's an island. There's a road. But there's, it's not a lot of water. The lake is big, but it's not far off from the mainland. One of the kids says that he looks right at the police officer and said, it was a goddamn werewolf. And the cops looked at him and have you been drinking? Have you been doing drugs? Did you guys kill your friend? Did you hurt your friend? No, it was a werewolf. They go to their campsite. They search for alcohol. They search for this. They show them where the spot is. They go to the lake. And they see prints along the shore. They see his prints of his shoes where he went to get the water, the bucket's there, and they see these odd prints. He said, Jeff, they kind of looked like in Jurassic Park, the Velociraptor, where it had that back thing in the back and its nails, and it was like a pad. There was no real middle. So claws, pad, and back. And I'm like, that's nuts, man. I'm like, did they find your friend? Did you find your friend? Their friend is still listed in the North Dakota missing persons to this day. I'm not going to share their name because he asked me not to. That's not the craziest part, though. The craziest part is what happened after the fact, when the state troopers brought them back to the boat association. Their vehicles were parked there. And when one of the troopers was questioning them, he radioed over, we need Department of Fish and Game out here. A large animal took off with these young kids' friend. They're saying it was a werewolf. They get to the boat association. There's the 2 state trooper cars. There's now an ambulance. There's the Department of Fish and Game. And there is an unmarked black kind of town car. He said it was black, it was large, it wasn't a Dodge, but it looked like your atypical CIA, FBI, all blacked out, large land yacht of a car. That's my term, that was not his. And there's a person talking to the DNR in a suit. So as they start walking towards the vehicles, they're asking, what about our friend? What's going to happen? What are you, where are we going? What are you doing? Help us find our friend. The state trooper, one of the state troopers looks at him and says, we're going to locate your friend. Don't worry about it. He was very nice. He was very down to earth. He, who I spoke to today, said, I almost believe he wasn't aware of what was going on. He really felt genuine. You've got to talk to Department of Fish and Game and this guy over here. They don't introduce themselves. The Fish and Game just says, what happened? What did you see? And they proceed to say, we were sitting here. This is what happened. Were you drinking? No. We were camped out. We were eating dinner. Our friend went to get a bucket. And all of a sudden, this thing just grabbed our friend and ran off with our friend. DNR laughs and says, no. Bullshit. The guy in the black car walks over to one of the other state troopers and says something, and then the next thing you know, the 3 of them are cuffed. And all 3 are put in the back of that black car. They proceed to drive for almost 2 hours to Minette Air Force Base in North Dakota, where when they were in the vehicle, they weren't talked to, they weren't told what was going on. They were escorted by military, or what he said were military, into the base, into a office. Before they got out of the vehicle, there was not a mask, but a black kind of headcloth cloak put over their head, so they couldn't see. They were separated. Mind you, these are teenagers. All right. They were separated. They weren't allowed to call their family. They weren't allowed to call anybody. And what they were told is, as of right now, where you are and what you are dealing with, you have no rights. Your rights are gone now. You are not dealing with the police. You are dealing with an organization or a government agency higher than you know. They're all separated. The kid that I talked to today they were kept there for over 26 hours. No phone calls. Their parents thought they were camping. For that 26-hour period of time, they were threatened, bullied. The only thing that didn't occur was physical abuse. They were kept separate, not allowed to speak to each other until they were escorted off of the base. Their family had no idea what was going on. The two men who pretty much emotionally and mentally abused these young kids, because they are kids at the time, 16, 17 years old, dealing with the fact that they just saw a creature come out of the woods and take their friend and ran. Now they're dealing with an entity almost as dangerous, maybe even more. HSI proceeded to grill these kids, tell them that their friend decided he didn't want to go with them, and he was last seen at this location, and you guys don't know. And if by chance this ever gets out that your friend did not just walk away and you never saw him again, your lives will never be the same. You will not see the light of day. We will put you in a jail so deep that sunshine will not shine. We will arrest your family. We will take everything your family has. You all have a brilliant future ahead of you. Make it happen and don't speak of it. Again, Department of Homeland Security Investigations. HSI. Homeland Security Investigations, man. I had to look it up because I was like, HSI. And then he said, Homeland Security Investigations. They were then escorted off of the base, not by the vehicle that brought them in, but they were stuffed into a Suburban, a white Suburban, driven back to the island. They got their stuff. The men who accompanied them was not military and was not the two men that really destroyed their lives, because that's what happened. These young men just saw their friend get taken, pretty much manhandled and ran with, and then are mentally and emotionally tortured for a day and hours. They were then brought to where their vehicles were, and nothing was said. The guys didn't even say their friend's crap, and I don't mean crap, but their friend's bag and camp bag, everything was taken by the men in that white Suburban. The only thing that was said from the time they left to the time they got to the campsite and then to their vehicle was, separate your friend's stuff. Make sure we have it all. When they got to their vehicles, which is now leading into the drive back to camp to the vehicles, we're now talking 32 hours. The men dropped them off, didn't say a word, didn't say, remember what was said. Just opened the back hatch, got their crap out, and sent them on their way. They were then told to, in X amount of days, if they wanted their canoes to go to the boat association and pick them up, they would be there. They didn't. He never told his parents what happened. The kids were all pretty much not honor roll, but decent students. Their grades plummeted. Their friendships separated. They didn't speak to each other after this. None of them. You know, they did, but it was done. Their best friend, you know, we're talking 4 kids that grew up together from first grade. He started crying during this when he was telling me about the end. They just, he moved, hasn't spoken to his family in 3 years. legally changed his name and lives hours, miles, thousands of miles, not thousands, but in a different part of the country. His parents don't know where he is. His parents don't even know if he's alive. He won't ever talk to his parents again. He said that. I will never speak to my parents again. I miss them dearly, but I won't risk their lives. He doesn't know what had become of his other friends. He had a promising life. Great grades, great. Just think about how this kid, the friends were meticulous about their campsite. What do you think their lives were like before this monster? And then the best part of all of this is the worst part, I guess. I don't even know if there is that word. Shouldn't even be said best. I'm sorry if you're watching this, man. Their friend is still listed in the North Dakota missingpersons.gov. No one. It's insane. It's insane. The creature, when it stood behind the friend there, they said, or he said, that it was at least 2 feet taller than he was. He was 6 feet. They could see, because it came up from behind him and just grabbed him and ran. It didn't bite him. It just grabbed him. They could see its like upper, below its shoulders a little bit and up. So easily 2 feet higher than 6 feet. When it came up behind their friend, it made this kind of growl that really resonated with his ears. He can't even go near a dog. If he hears a dog growl, he has almost a panic attack, he said. When it grabbed him and growled, it looked like its mouth smiled, but the eyes were so far apart, he said. The head was just huge. It was just huge. He said the eyes were at least 10 to 12 inches apart and just this burning red. And it looked like after the growl, it looked like it smiled. But he said it could have been its teeth just being exposed. And then it ran. They heard their friend scream for 2-3 minutes, if that. And the screaming stopped. There was nothing. Just the screaming stopped. Unbelievable. This poor kid. He's afraid to even have a life, he said. He goes, I can't date. I can't date. I work online. I've not talked to my parents, my brothers and sisters. He missed his grandmother's funeral. Had to lie to his best friend's parents about saying he didn't go. And he said the strangest thing about all this is when the police asked them questions about their friend, it was almost like a show. There was no formalities or what. It was just like, when your friend, if someone's going camping, think about this. If you're going camping with your buddies and one of you go missing, you guys are suspects. But that's not how it played out when they were questioned. The whole thing was just covered up immediately, quietly. And he doesn't know. He assumes, because his friends were like him. He goes, I don't know. He goes, I haven't even talked to my friends. He goes, I'm too afraid to even look them up on Facebook. He goes, I will not Google them. He goes, I won't. He goes, but they're like me. He goes, so I'm pretty sure they are suffering the same fate that I am. And, I said, listen, dude, if you need to ever talk, or if you need a friend, and if you're watching, if you ever need to talk, brother, email me. You got my number. I'm here. We'll figure out whatever. I'll get a burner flip phone from freaking Family Dollar if you need to talk to me. But unbelievable. The sickest experience I've ever heard. And then to find out, the crazy thing is when I had Corey Godsey, the young boy who was 13, and I said this to him. I said, that's not the first time I've heard this. This isn't even like, we were all told in that interview that Department of Homeland Security ran that whole operation when that little boy was killed in, Knott County, Tennessee? Kentucky. Knott County, Tennessee, Kentucky. I don't know. I don't remember right now. I'm sorry. I just... Wow. Anyway. This really messed me up too, talking to him. Because he's not even in the, he does listen. He listens to shows. He looks into information about these things. But he also doesn't. There's days that he doesn't even want to talk about them or think about them or whatever. He said it's been months. He almost had the courage to share a couple of months back. But when he heard the Roseau, Minnesota experience and where his home is only, a hop, skip, and a jump away from that location, I can't believe it. I'm just like, holy crap. You've got to be a really sick and twisted person to threaten a 16, 17-year-old boy, young man. And here's another thing that I think about too. I thought about a little bit after he and if you are watching, they probably looked into who these kids were. They probably knew their school grades, what sports they played, what they did for extra, curriculum activities. So they knew they were good students. They knew they were good kids. I mean, it wasn't like they're just, and just had no issue ruining their lives. No issue. Or threatening them. I can almost see if they were like hoodlums or something, you know what I mean? Had some sort of shady past at that age, but So sick. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in today. I really wish that I offered, I said, I can change your voice, dude. He said, no, I can't. He said, I might not even listen to this. If you are, I will just stay in contact if you need to talk to anybody. Please don't do anything crazy. I've had subscribers that have shared, family members have taken their own lives after experiences years later. Please, if you need to talk, give me a holler. All right, folks, I hope that you all enjoyed this upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives people a chance to share, a place to share their experiences and theories, judgment-free, is simply treated with the respect we all deserve. And this person definitely needs that. Thank you. Everyone stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.